We back at it. Fire sale night. A lot of rumors running around out there. We're here to talk about it. D Nightwalker. Raiders. One step at a time. My boy Fire Bro in the house. Brother, good to see you, man. Hope everything's well. Night. Hello, everybody. Welcome, Fire Bro. Glad that you're here. Diego is in the house. Diego. Raider Nation. That's it. That's what we're talking about. Buy or sell. What are we buying? What are we selling? It's up to you, man. It's up to the chat tonight. Who stays? Who goes? Who comes? Interesting. Yes. Putting the final touches together real quick. Checking my audio. Last night I goofed. But we looking good tonight. All right. Yes, sir. Let's get that camera fired up. Camera check. We good. I see my ugly mug. All right. Nation. Let's get this thing kicked off. Not much to talk about tonight. I really wanted to get into the offense a bit more, but not enough conclusive information coming out. Not only, I mean, we know most likely Jimmy's not playing, but I kind of want to wait a day, let some things roll through, get some more confirmations so we have a more direct perspective as we head in to week number 7. The Bears. All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of Night of the Shield. I'm your host, Jason Smith, a.k.a. the Oakland Knight, and you're watching this on the Las Vegas Raiders News Review, brought to you by Independently Blind Studios, where we educate, advocate, motivate, and inspire those who are dealing with sight loss, chase their dreams, believe in themselves that they can be independent, and do anything they put their heart and mind to. If you're dealing with any kind of loss, hearing, mobility, we encourage you just the same. Fire Bro, our offense needs to pick up the pace 100%. Very slow tempo. It does seem a little lethargic. I'm not exactly sure why that is either. The Patriots were beginning. The Patriots were big. Oh, dang it! I dropped it again. The Patriots were begging us to kick them out in the first half, or knock them out in the first half. Like we had them on the rope several times, big time red zone debacles constantly. It's been that way all season. We did really good getting into the red zone. We just didn't do a good job getting out. Raider Combo, what's up, Night? What's up, chat? What's up, Raiders Combo? Much love. I'm finally here on time. Anytime you're here is on time, man. On time is when you get here. Don't worry about it. We always wait for you, Raider Combo. We appreciate you. All right. Let's go ahead and jump right into tonight's conversation. So where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's more fire than smoke at this point, which means, it's most likely. I mean, Hunter Renfrow's not getting a lot of snaps at this point. So you're going to start seeing more and more rumors come out that he's gone. And it's not so much for me, I'm buying it. I'm buying that he's gone. I've been buying that he was going to be gone. If you guys go all the way back to when I first started doing these on a consistent basis, I might even made a preseason video on it where I said, look, they're going to be patient with Renfrow. And the only thing that really didn't come through is his production. Or should I say the lack thereof is what lead us to where we're at now. Now they're not really playing him as much, which means they're protecting his health. And the real problem is what is his compensation? It's not going to be much. You're probably talking anywhere between a fifth and a sixth if we're lucky. I mean, outside of his contract's high, the production's low. We're not playing him at this point. So it's quite obvious that this is where we're at. Kenny Clausell, brother, what is happening? I know I owe you a phone call, but I was getting ready for the show. What's up, Raider Nation? I will call you soon, brother. So for me, it's just like we're better off with Hunter Renfrow packaging him up for a player. And that's been talked about in the last few weeks. One of the biggest names that come out there is Burns from North Carolina. You know, Hunter is from that area. The coach was rumored to be interested in him in the offseason. They're looking for a wide receiver. Is this a fit? You know, are they looking to get rid of Burns? Now, it's going to take Hunter and then some other compensation, but I think Hunter will lessen that compensation that we have to give up. And is it worth it? And again, I believe that it comes down to wins, starting with the Chicago Bears, period. Then after the Chicago Bear game, we seriously got to start making some moves and planning on our next one because the deadline is the 31st, which means we will have to play Detroit. And do we want to make a move like that? Just saying, if this is a scenario, this is not what we're doing, right? As a scenario, I would like to see them pull the trigger if we beat the Bears and try to get Burns acclimated before the Detroit game to kind of help us out on the defensive side of things. Because what we're seeing from our defense, especially our secondary, especially in the last few weeks, our secondary has played real strong, but that comes from better defensive line play. But is the defensive line playing lights out? Is it playing at a level where we think it should have been the beginning of the season? Not quite yet. But the exciting thing is we've seen it improve. And that's what you're looking for week in and week out. Are we progressing or digressing? And the Raider defense continues to progress. Now, offensively, you could say, technically, if you look at it from certain points of views, they've been progressing too. Maybe at a slower pace. Fire was just letting us know how slow and lethargic this offense looks, especially in the first half, when we're getting into the red zone and then we're stalling out. But again, if you look at Jimmy G's numbers last week, he was doing quite well of even kind of spreading the ball around and pushing it a little further downfield. Not far enough, in our opinion, but you saw progression. So, again, this team is slowly but surely heading where we want it to go. Now, we're 3-3. We are in second place again because the Chargers lost last night against the Cowboys. So we're sitting right where we need to be if we're going to slide in, sneak in, pinch in, however you want to say it, into the playoffs on a wild card, possibly, technically. But again, I still say that this team is not a contender. So, you know, be it what it is, it would still be Lou Dogs in the house. Hey, JJ, what's up, Lou? Appreciate you, brother. At the end of the day, I think if we're going to get rid of Hunter, we do it in a player package. It makes the most sense. Now, for the sake of Hunter Renfrow, third down in Renfrow, because we do love us some Hunter Renfrow. You know, once a Raider, always a Raider, and the guy is just a baller. And it's really sad that the last few years he couldn't put it all together, but I wish him the best. And if he's not going to be a part of this offense, if he's just kind of done, the team's kind of done, we have other options now in Carter and Tucker. You see them play their role. I'd like to see them let Hunter go play and start somewhere else. You know, the question is, it's not just so easy to say we want to trade a guy. You're still looking, you know, outside of what we're trying to get back in the deal, we're trying to make sure that we're not just giving up on players at this point. So the compensation that we're talking about, someone like Carolina would want, what about what the Raiders would want? Which you can use the same scenario to break that down. Number one, what is real fair compensation for Hunter Renfrow? I think his best value would be in a package deal. That's just my opinion. Take some of the pressure off what we'd have to give up for a player, someone that we would need, whether that's a defensive tackle, defensive end, you know, right guard. I don't think we need any more offensive weapons at this point. I think we're pretty good. We just need better quarterback play. We need to stretch the field, open things up, get Josh going, et cetera, et cetera. We already know where we're at there. Maybe a corner, if there's one out there. But if I look at this team, the way it's set up and the way it's been playing, I would say an extra pass rusher, whether it's a defensive end or defensive tackle, makes the most sense. but it's got to fit financially. It's got to fit compensation wise. So we'll have to, it's a wait and see basis. But when it comes to Hunter Renfrow, I'm selling all day. I'm in. And it's a little bittersweet only because I like Hunter Renfrow. I like him as a player. I like him as a person. But what good is he if he's not producing or doing what we need him to do or what he even wants to do? He's not getting it. Which brings us right up next to the other one, which we brought up last night. There's still no, what's up, bro? Lafayette's in the house. What's up, Lafayette? Which brings us to part 2 of the scenario. And that is Devante Adams. A lot of rumblings, a lot of people speculating. A lot of people are building up on his disappearing act after the game Sunday. And rightfully so. And I think it's more and more apparent each and every week that Devante is having a hard time holding his emotion back at this point. We first heard it in the offseason when DC was traded, the Jimmy Jeep grab was going on. There was no Aaron Rodgers movement. And he put out there that he wasn't necessarily happy then. Then he backwalked it up a little bit and he kind of changed his tune a little bit and he kept being optimistic and he kept being optimistic. He was even one of the biggest cheerleaders to get Josh back into camp so they can get going on things. Then week after week after week, there's been a few instances where he said some things. You saw his emotion on the sideline, especially in last week's game. And there's two sides of that coin, right? We talked about it last night. Is he being a diva? Does he have a right to be upset? And if so, how is he handling himself? Now, when you watch some of these people break down film and they start talking about what's happening on the field, and I'm not talking YouTube, I'm talking even other places, right? Where they're basically saying that once he becomes bracketed, designed in this offense, the ball goes another way. I started thinking about it even in the Patriot days with Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick. They very rarely had that dude, right? They were known to switch wide receivers constantly. And I wonder if there's a certain reason why. And maybe a guy like Devante Adams is too big name for this offense. And I say that half-heartedly, right? Only because if you're going to ask someone like Devante Adams to be a decoy in an offense, that's crazy. But then you look at it, and he's had a couple of games where he put up some pretty big numbers. So what are you coaching here? What is the scheme? What is the real game plan here for Devante Adams? Can you change the narrative? Can you change the narrative with Hoyer? Can you change the narrative with Aiden O'Connell? Some guy, Brian Hoyer did show a little livelier of an arm, in my opinion. But again, my question would be, can he sustain something like that for more than just a quarter or two, right? Because we only seen him throw it deep one time. So there's a lot of question marks with Hoyer. Now we know because he's much younger and fresh that we've seen the live arm from AOC. We saw some accuracy, good accuracy things from AOC as well. We saw him throw it up to Devante. I brought this up last night down the sideline in the Charger game that set us up right before the pick. And so there's playmaking ability between those two. But, I mean, I'm not sitting here saying AOC is elite enough to make Devante happy. But if Aiden O'Connell has a reputation for being a little gutsy, a little bit of a gunslinger, willing to take those chances, and he's not afraid to throw it to Devante double coverage, that's what Devante wants. So, is Devante right? Is Devante being a diva? Should he just be more of a team player? Or do you think that there's a middle ground there? Because he's been doing all the right things, right? He's gotten emotional. He's put some things out there in the universe. Nothing's changed. What's the communication like? Is he in the building now? Everything's real hush-hush, right? And I'm sure he'll come in, he'll say something positive. Maybe he'll be more upfront. Who knows what's going to come out of Devante's mouth this week? But something's going to break eventually. We're going to know really at some point he's just going to have to be honest with himself, honest with the media, which would then be honest with us, and we'll be able to get more of a clearer picture of where he's at mentally. But for me, I think he's handled himself as professional as you could be in a situation like this. This goes all the way back to his best friend being traded. We don't know the exact parameters of what was said when we brought him over here to begin with. And we don't know what was said going into the offseason. We don't know. We don't know if he's been sold a bag of lies or he's just been trying to do the right thing, stay the course, see where this goes, and he does not like where it's at or where it's heading. We are not contenders. He knows it. The only thing he got right now is his pride, and his pride is going to be based off his numbers. And any competitor with a reputation like Devante Adams is that, Lee, if we're not going to win, could you at least make me look good? So the question is, buy or sell? Number one, do you buy or sell that Devante's being a diva, or do you think he has every right to start acting out? I mean, he hasn't came out and verbally just went straight Terrell Owens on us or anything like that, right? But his actions it's starting to come out a little bit. If you ask me, the signs are there that he's unhappy. So how do you guys feel about that? Do you think he has a right to feel that way? And then the other question would be, what about trading Devante? Taking a $20 million hit doing so, but the compensation for the man would be extravagant. It might be the ammo we need heading in to continue to try to reshape this team. There's no guarantee in anything. And I'll get into my answer to both those questions here after I get in to some of these questions. Razor Raiders in the house. Salute, Shield. Salute to you and Nation. Go Raiders. Thank you very much, Razor Raider. Really appreciate you being here. D Nightwalker. I know this is a big one, so I'm going to take my time with one. Kills me to say this, but it might be time to get... Hold on. To get something for Devante Adams. He wants to win, and we ain't winning. That's fact, man. Anytime soon. Doesn't look that way anyway. I mean, even as good as the defense is playing, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's to the caliber of what we're going to need it to be to beat some of these high-powered offense that we're going to, like the Dolphins. I'm just going to keep it AFC, right? I think the Chiefs, I think they're good enough to play against the Chiefs, but I think they're just a better all-around team to win the close one. But who else is, we saw in Buffalo, I think Buffalo is hit or miss. If Joe Burrows gets back going, there's a lot of good offensive teams in the AFC conference that it's a little tough, right? So definitely winning's not on the horizon right now. And the Raiders could get some much needed help for draft capital. And that's very interesting, D. Nightwalker, because I'm going to tell you something, right? I mean, you don't want to hold on to the guy. It's a catch-22 for me, okay? There's a part of me that agrees with you 100%. And if the time is now, even though we're going to take a $20 million hit, the compensation that we can get back for it, the capital that we could use to position ourselves in some, whether it's moving up for a player or just gathering top round talent, which I know there's going to be a lot of people that'll start commenting in the comment section that we suck at drafting. I get it. But at the end of the day, we can't help it. Like, I'm not ready to talk about that right now because it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what we do with it. I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be, but capital helps. Capital helps. And we can get into the Dave Ziegler decision side of things later on. But yeah, I'm with you because we're not going to be that winning football team. So at some point, it's either crap or get off the pot, man. Like at some point, you got a player like Devante. You have a player like Devante to go out there and win a Super Bowl. And if the goal is to get to the Super Bowl, then you could use a guy like the Devante Adams to get the capital to try to get the players. Okay, try, right? Key word here right now. That'll move the needle forward to position us for that, right? D. Nightwalker. Only saying that because we are not good enough for a playoff spot. At best, wild card, like we just got done talking about. But I don't think we do anything with it again. It would be a one and done, in my opinion, at this point. Now, we'll see if this thing comes alive, but, I mean, the odds of that are pretty high when you look at some of the competition we're dealing with here in the AFC. But not bad enough for a good draft pick. We are just good enough to stay the same. We need to move the needle 100%. 100%. Time to think outside the box and start thinking How can we use, because they came in here thinking that this team was in a much better situation than we thought, right? With DC, you went and you got Devante, you had Josh Jacobs, even though they didn't have a lot of faith in Jacobs, you had Waller. They went all in thinking that they can come in, implement their system, and that this was a playoff-ready team. It was there last year, and they could strike gold. Well, it blew up. So now we got some significant money tied up in some significant players that we're already talking about moving on from. That's a problem in itself. But draft capital and getting cheaper players in here that we could develop and maybe even make a difference right away is intriguing. Kenny Clausell. When D is one-on-one, you have to get him. Oh, when Devante. So when he's talking about D, so he's talking about Devante. When Devante is one-on-one, you have to get him the ball. And that has been talked about by several analysts that I've watched and listened to, and even said by Aaron Rodgers himself, like Devante technically is always open. Double coverage doesn't mean he's covered. You got to give him shots. Now, I will say there's exceptions to those rules, right? You can't get into the habit of just saying, well, if Devante singled up, it has to go to him every single time, because then you start becoming really predictable, right? And then you could disguise something and try to trick the quarterback. You want to spread the ball out, period. And it seems like every time that we think that we're doing better spreading the ball out, it's lacking somewhere else. So much better job of getting the tight ends involved. You got Trey Tucker going a little bit. Okay, Jacoby Myers continues to eat, but Devante suffers. At some point, McDaniels has either got a scheme for that better and really put the perspective into place in Jimmy or whoever's playing quarterback that you got. Sometimes you just got to go Devante all the way. But his offense is designed to decide that really quick. Interesting. It's an interesting conversation, to say the least. But I'm with D. Nightwalker. Either you're going to utilize his talent for good, and it's going to make us a playoff contender and give us a shot for a championship or the AFC championship even, or why we have a player like Devante when we could use that to get multiple players early in the draft to help us become that team. Like it's really easy to fall in love with certain players and skill sets, thinking that that's all we need to move the needle forward, but that's not always the case. Anyway, Ray Gonzalez, to everyone, I think Tay will be fine. Once he gets fed, and that was my next statement. So thank you, Ray. Along with the W's, yeah. So we're winning, but he's not getting fed, right? So is he acting out, just letting everybody know, hey, you better start feeding me, man. I'm getting fed up, right? So he's saying you're gonna FEED me because I am FED up with you all right? Add another E to that. Feed me or I'm fed up, right? Period. And the thing is, you don't want to change your scheme, and just me trying to be real about it. You don't want to overly change your scheme and push a narrative where you're pushing the ball too hard to Devante. It doesn't make any sense to me. It don't. I love Devante. I think he should be fed more. He should have more targets. They should, Josh has been known to design ways to get this guy open. We've seen it in the weeks past. Make it happen. You got to make this guy happy if you want to keep him a Raider. If you think that there is a chance within the next 2 years for us to really be that team, then you make it work. Otherwise, use the capital to create something different. Razor Raider, we assume too much. Just like any fan base does. I believe he's good. He's a professional, and he's shown that he's a professional and a stand-up person who has never broken character. He's never been on a team like the Raiders. That's the one thing I'll say. But you are 100% Razor Raider. He is a stand-up dude. He's straight up. He's not pulling any punches. He's not trying to be fake or phony. But you starting to see it build up, right? It's getting harder and harder for him to keep his mouth shut. And the one statement that really sticks out in my head in this conversation is when he said, I'm running out of time. I don't have a lot of time left. He knows he's at a point in his career where he's peaking. and it gets in your head. It's just like age, and he's not even that old, right? I mean, you're talking from a life age perspective, he's good. From a football elite standpoint, he knows his game's about to change. He wants to do it in his prime. So, again, I agree with everything Razor Raider just said. But everybody, even the good ones, have a breaking point. And that's just fact. It's called passive aggressive. Junior Ramos. Bro has every right to be mad. Hopefully, we could use him more like we should. Again, I agree, right, Junior? He does have a right to be angry because I think the amount of targets the last 2 weeks, even though we won the game, is unacceptable. You got to get your star player involved. You got to get Jacobs getting going more, right? And you've seen that happen. He's getting more and more yards each week. He's bound to have a breakout game sooner or later. And I think Devante is a part of that happening. You got to get him the ball. But at the same time, you can't sacrifice everything just to make one player happy, because it takes 11 players to win a game. But using him as a decoy, I'm sorry, man. I agree with Devante. I'd be a little bit pissed off. Like, I wouldn't be happy. I would not be happy if I was Devante Adams and you were using me as a decoy. You know, and again, it's about wins, but come on now. Burke Raider, what's up, brother? Raiders, Burke Raiders. Flea Flicker wants a game. You know what? He's tried. We've seen it. We've seen it a couple of times this year. I think was it last week or the week before? It was going to happen again, and then Jacobs decided, no, it's not the right time, and he pulled it down. Yeah. It's bound to happen, bro. It's bound to happen. The flea flicker is coming. Just wait for it. It's going to happen again. Junior Ramos, agree, Razor Raider. Agree. Yeah. And if you're talking about the personality of him, I think he'll be fine. His maturity, his respect around the league will continue. He knows how to work the system, bro. He knows that it'll go. His trade value will stay higher by him acting the way that he is. And if he can handle it behind the scenes, one way or the other, that helps us and him. So I respect that 100%. Let's see. I was wondering what was hitting my leg. Okay. Ray Gonzalez, Jason, Max Crosby has changed on YouTube. Oh, it has a channel on YouTube, podcast format. Everyone should listen up. Thumbs up. Dude, I'm going to be all over that as soon as I'm done here. Like, I'm telling you right now, as a defensive guy, right? Nobody since Charles Woodson. So if, for those of you who may not know, okay, my favorite player, my favorite Raider in my generation, my time, was Howie Long. Okay? It's one of the rare jerseys I still have that's autographed. I never wear it. Love Howie Long. From Howie up until Charles, that was my dude, right? Like, I love Charles Woodson. And I've been waiting for that next defensive standout, that next defensive player that's going to be the face of this organization as far as the defense goes for a long time. And Max is that dude for me, dude. I love everything about that guy. His intensity, his commitment to excellence, him wanting to be the best, but being humbled about it. And he just doesn't talk about it, dude. That guy is just, man, I love watching him play. And it's sad to see him go through triple teams, but it's even better to see him beat triple teams. Like, that guy just does it, man. That guy just does it, and he's a heart and soul for any team. So he's definitely the face of the Raiders for me at this point. Lafayette, no excuses. We could have had Carter Weatherspoon. Somebody, hopefully Tyree proves himself. And again, Lafayette, that's a great point. And that's the only thing that may, but we, as fans, seriously, as fans, I know it's historic. We can go back year after year after year. We constantly screw up that first round pick. It's ridiculous, and I don't understand it. I don't understand why it keeps happening. But you just have to have faith at some point to say, like, Dave is going to be that guy that's going to go back and be like, okay, that was stupid. I tell my kids all the time, and I'm not saying Dave's my kid. I'm just saying, like, he's young in this, right? This 2 years into it. It was his first ever first round pick. And let's face it, at this point, he blew it. You don't use your first round pick on a project player. That's the big, and it's not even at this point, it's not even about if Tyree develops or not. You don't use your first round pick, especially that first round pick, on a project. There was too many players there that were a for sure thing. And that's the position that you were in as an organization. Okay? I like what you did with the Marcus Peters, Jacorian Bennett. I like the David Long pickup even. And Meek's developing. We still got Hobbs. I'll get it. But there was plenty of corners there. The Jalen Carter thing, I know a lot of people are upset. I agree with both sides of the coin. I understand why they wouldn't want to, or why Mark Davis wouldn't want it. And I understand why we should have. They literally would have made a bigger difference having a guy like Jalen in the middle than even Bilal Nichols or Jenkins. We blew it. But you got to just hope and believe that it's not going to happen year in and year out. And it's very hard as a fan to accept that when it keeps getting thrown in our face. It's very hard to do. Very hard to do. I mean, if it was me, because I do believe in, like, again, I was saying, I tell my kids all the time, look, I'm not worried about you making mistakes. You know, as your parent, I try to prevent it as much as possible. But I give you enough rope to fall because I want to be able to teach you how to get back up, how to make it right, regardless of what the situation is. That's my goal as a father, okay? And Mark, in a father-like figure, owner, your boss, the guy who writes and pays you, has to be able to say, look, man, our drafting's got to change. We can't do this no more. And you got to hope that Dave learned something this past year. Otherwise, he's got to go. He's got to go. In my opinion, regardless of where we pick in the draft, if we don't pick the right dude, a no-brainer dude from the cut, he's got to go. We got to stop playing around. It really starts with our general manager. Whoever's going to be responsible for choosing players on this football team, that's where we're struggling the most, period. Burke Raider. Hospital balls, Jimmy G. Jimmy G's known for that. Imagine Hunter getting injured from a JG pass like to DA, and then your trade value is gone. I respect that and believe that 100%. Doesn't matter. Raiders will blow that draft pick. And Lafayette, that's the narrative, dude. That is what's been instilled in our head. And I can't knock anybody for saying that. You, myself, because I have this channel and I want to be as real as possible. And in my mind, in my heart, I'm not confident that we're going to do the right thing. Right? I'm just not, because it seems like it's never done. Very, very rarely do we do the right thing with the first round pick. And it's disgusting, dude. It irritates the living hell out of me. It really does. But at the same time, I mean, it's not about pushing a narrative or being overly optimistic. It just means that you just got to hope, right? You just got to hope that at some point that narrative changes, because it has to, straight up. Greg Atkins, welcome, brother. Hit that thumbs up. Greg, thank you so much, brother. Hit that thumbs up, baby. Let's go. Thank you, Greg. Hey, everybody in here, if you've not yet hit that like button, go ahead and do me a favor. Hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Oh, I even got a thumbs down. I have a couple of thoughts who that might be. I have a couple of ideas of who that possibly is, but I'll take a thumbs down all day. All day. That means I'm doing my job. Believe it or not. It does work for me. 22 buttons hit, 22 people in the chat. It works for me. And I promise you, I don't know who that person was, but I'm sure they're not liking the narrative, but I'm just being real. I'm not gonna come in here and say that Devante should stay or go. Like, if he's going to stay, we got to feed him. If we're not going to feed him, let's let him go. Let's do something about it. I think they're not liking the quarterback. I think I might know who it is. And if it is you, you know, I respect everybody. Everybody in here should know. You guys could say anything. I'm not the end all say all around here at all. P Dog's in the house. P Dog, what is up? Raiders should have. Whoops, my bad. Raiders should have a whiny baby fire sale. Get rid of all overpaid ass Hunter Renfrow. Laugh out loud. And P Dog's going to come in with those one-liners. Here we go. He's just getting started. I bet you I have and here's my boy right here. Just know, Mr. Knight, the Raiders are going to be bad for a long time. Dude, Chihuahua Band, they've already been bad for a long time. They are not a good team and will not be in the playoffs and will ruin their draft capital and end up with the wrong quarterback Raider way. And G Warra, man, and you're the one who I was talking to, bro, because I respect the hell out of you, bro. But it's your narrative never changes, bro. And I understand you have every single right to feel that way. Because quite honestly, I think you speak a lot for the Raider Nation. A lot of Raider Nation agree with you, and they share the same opinion as you. But we're trying to move forward, right? We're trying to use our voices. We're trying to make a difference. It's bound to change. We're not going to be a bad team for a long time. We've already been a bad team for a long time. We're waiting for that changing moment. And I just have to keep believing that it's going to change, or what is the point of being a fan? That's all I'm saying, bro. Like, you're 100% right. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing I'm critiquing at all, from my opinion and my perspective, about anything that you said. Everything that you said in there has been backed up, factual, for the past 20 plus years. This even goes back beyond the 20 years, but everybody kind of uses that 2003, deadline of us being relevant and making it to a Super Bowl, regardless that we got it handed to us. So everybody goes from 2003, but it goes beyond that. It's been bad for a very long time, bro, and I've been there for every bit of it. Season ticket holder since 95 all the way till they moved to Vegas, bro. Longtime fan before that. Was young, watching them play the Redskins in the Super Bowl. Watched them move to L.A. Watched my grandfather stick with this team year in and year out. That's how I learned how to get angry and cuss from that man. I get it. I'm with you, bro, and I'm tired of it too. But at the end of the day, we just got to hope they do the right thing. It has to happen. And we have been a playoff team, just for the record. We have made it to the playoffs. We're going to do crap with it. We keep sliding and sneaking in there. So I understand your frustration. I understand your opinion. But I have to, as a Raider fan, I have to believe that at some point, the narrative changes. And how long is that going to take is the problem, right? So I hope you understand where I'm coming from, because I definitely understand where you're coming from. I just hope that you can understand where I'm coming from too. And as always, you're totally respectful about it, and I appreciate you the most, dude. I really do. Burkay Raider. Moneyball. The D and the O line. The rest will fall in place. Get rid of Hunter. Yeah, I think Hunter's Mr. Irrelevant in this scenario. I'm not going to fall in love what once was or what could have been when it comes to Hunter. Respect him on the way out. Give him a round of applause. Let him know, first and foremost, once a Raider, always a Raider. I really loved his toughness. I loved how he proved a lot of people wrong. It's just not for him, bro. It's just not for him. It's written all over his demeanor. And he's a stand-up guy, too, just like Devante, right? He could have easily muffed that punt at the end of last week's game, right? But he caught it. He got it down to what we need to, so we can go out there and kneel it out. But again, man, it's time to move on. Get something for nothing, and hope that player comes in and it's an impact enough of a player to make a difference. Chili Pepper 28, always good to see you, brother. 2 in a row. Let's make it 3. And it's quite possible. It's a must-win game this weekend. Must win. Raider Twan up in the house. Raider Twan, what's up, brother? Welcome. Thank you for being here. Let's see. No other number one wide receiver have to worry about being schemed into the offense. 108. I couldn't have said that any better either. But this This is the offensive genius that we deal with. And I know a lot of people I was listening to somebody talking about how everybody's picking on McDaniels, but if McDaniels, doing that whole if McDaniels turns it around thing. Look, I've been that dude. This guy is constantly overthinking everything. I think that is the biggest problem with this offense. Everything is well planned to its detriment. It's overplanned. At some point, you got to just play the game. If you have a number one wide receiver, you throw it to your number one wide receiver. And then because he's unstoppable, they're going to continue to put pressure on Devante. And then you spread the ball out and you see the other kind of weapons that we have. You see the complementary players that we have. But you're right. No other number one wide receiver has to deal with what Devante's dealing with. It never seems to get any better. And I understand that narrative. That's why I'm saying either, once again, make the right decisions to get him involved or move on. G. Warab, Adams, at a time in his career that he is leaving the team, definitely. Okay, let me make sure I read that correct because my eyes are just junk. Adams, at a time in his career that he is leaving the team, definitely at the end of the season now. Let's see that. And there's a couple of asterisks to that too, right, bro? We'll get into that in a minute. We won't have a wide receiver or a quarterback. You see the pattern. You see the pattern here of a bad football organization. No idea how to win. Again, I don't have, I want to answer that and paint a prettier picture, and I can't. Because it's factual. The asterisk that I would say, Devante just can't leave. He's under contract. And he's getting paid a lot of money, a lot of guaranteed money. It has to be an organizational decision. And this is where it makes more sense to find ways to make the man happy than to get rid of him and go back into salary cap hell. Unless you're going to get heavily compensated. And again, like we've been talking and like you well put all the time, there is no confidence that we're going to do right. Even if, let's say we were to get 2 first-round picks for Devante, we're not going to do right by it. We won't do right by it. So what would be the point, right? So it's a very strange time once again as a Raider fan. It was something that I'm gotten really comfortable and used to, not in a good way, in a bad way. And I agree, but we could sit here and I'm just trying to get through the season, man. I'm just trying to take it one game at a time and talk about the news that is presented to us. This is the talk of the day. It's Hunter Renfrow. It's Devante Adams. It's buy or sell. I'm selling the idea that we need to get rid of Devante. I think it's way too early to make that decision. I think you try to make it right. You try to figure this out because you are about to get a guy that's about to go straight diva on our ass. And it's just a matter of time. Greg Atkins, Devante's situation isn't hard. It just is what it is. Or it's not bad. It is just what it is. What he did the other day is called pouting. and on a team that is showing that it wants that it wants to win is what is unacceptable. Raiders for life. And again, G. Warab, that kind of statement from Greg Atkins, I think paints the picture that I'm trying to get myself to understand too, right? Is Devante pouting? Yeah, it's obvious, right? It's obvious that he's unhappy and he's pouting. But the question, Greg, really is, does he have a right to feel that way? Yeah. And I like the way that he's handling it versus being raw emotions. There's a reason, and I've said this several times, and I'm going to beat that dead horse once again. A lot of the times I don't like to do instant reactions, and I want to start changing that. I really do for different reasons. But one of the main reasons I don't do instant reactions, never really like to, is because it's such raw emotion, good or bad, right? I could come on after a Raider win and get my pom-poms and sound like such a cheerleader when we know that there's still problems. There's a lot of media, like mainstream media, that are kind of putting the fans down about not being happy with a just win baby attitude. And they have to understand that it's not the winning that we have a problem with. It's or the way that we're winning, because I don't care how we win. We just want to see it consistently. We want to see that the needle is moving. And I think last week, even though it wasn't what I wanted or what I thought even could happen against the Patriots, the needle moved forward on both sides of the ball. So I was really happy with that win. I could see why Devante's not. Okay. And Devante could have went all TO on us. And at any moment, he could just do that. That could happen. That could be in the future. And that to me is unacceptable. I think he is still, pouting or not, handling it like a true professional. I really respect the way that man's handling it. P-Dog, wait. Bench the rookie. Bench the rookie corner. Why did we left Duke Shelley, bro? Why did we let Duke Shelley, bro? Why did we let Duke Shelley bench the corner? I know that Jacorian Bennett was not 100%. They brought him in last game because someone got hurt. I can't remember. I know Tyler Hall went out. We had to move Meek on the inside. So Jacorian Bennett, the reason he didn't start is because he's not 100%. They're trying to heal up a hammy. I think it was a hammy or a knee. Fire, bro. We can start drafting healthy players. We can start by drafting healthy players. Fire, bro. I talked about that earlier. Like, there's no reason to draft a project. Like that is like, and this is where G Warib, right, is 100% right. That's why I can't argue with him. That's why, like, I just want him to know that I'm not talking against him either. Because I hope G Warib, I hope you're understanding that I'm doing that, right? That it's not that I'm not agreeing with you. I'm just hoping for change. But I see where you're getting at. Like you take your first round pick and you draft the project. That is ridiculous, right? So many players there that could have made impact right away, day one. Serious impact. G Warib, I'm going to teach you all. I'm going to teach you all something. This defense is really fool's gold. You will see the moment they play a real team. Then you'll know that there's just a bottom of the league defense. Well, again, G Warib, this is where I will say we have not played an offense, but the NFL is the NFL, bro. I'm sorry. Like, I know that they're, it's not the Dolphins, right? And I see what Buffalo did to us. But at the same time, this team is getting better and better. So, I'm hoping that it continues to show, because it plays that soft shell defense to keep everything in front of them. I still say you're right. I still say that teams like the Dolphins is going to eat us up alive regardless when they have the speed like Tyreek Hill. We've shown that already that people with high speed can still beat this defense over the top. This is where our pass rush needs to get better. But again, I promise you, G Warib, I am not saying that this is a playoff team or a Super Bowl team. I'm saying that right now. I don't have them making the playoffs. Making the playoffs would be just like you're saying about the defense. It'd be fool's gold. This team is not ready. But it's not necessarily out of the picture either. We saw that a couple years ago. We shouldn't have been there either. That Raiders fan, I wanted Christian Gonzalez. And Christian Gonzalez would have been even better than Jacorian Bennett. I think Jacorian Bennett at this point is showing more upside. But again, you got to let that play out. That Raiders fan, that game is slowing down for Michael Myers. He's going to be special. He has all the makings and all the tools, 100%. G Warib, I'm starting to think that the draft is scripted. Oh, this is going to be an interesting take. I think this is going to be one of your better ones right here. I'm starting to think that the draft is scripted to have coach after coach come in here and do the same thing in the first round. It's like the NFL pays Mark to stay away from stars because Raiders are a failure. I could see where you think that. We always seem to be a target of some sort. I'm just non-conspiracy type dude. I know that there's things at play that are helped to manipulate situations in the NFL. It's so obvious. And it goes beyond the Raiders at this point, right? These refs manipulate situations to try to make games really competitive, especially in the primetime games. Watch the difference in how refs do those primetime games versus not. Most of the controversial calls, real like crazy ones, come from primetime games. So I'm not saying it's out of the realm of reality that could happen, but I believe that Mark Davis has done enough for the league not to worry about us as much anymore, considering that they're pushing so much money his way. Super Bowl, Pro Bowl, draft. He's got a beautiful stadium in a beautiful city with big lights, big money, big time entertainment. And when it comes to gambling and DraftKings and all the stuff that they got going on, it's become a gold market for the NFL. So even though it's not out of the realm of possibility, and Gruden's gone, and now you got the Gruden situation going to start heating up, there's a lot of things that are going to be exposed. So we just got to sit back and maybe there'll be some truth to that, and it'll be revealed at some point. G Warb, the reason why I use a ton, the reason why, damn it, I jumped that much. The reason why I use the same narrative is because until everyone is on board with it, I will keep saying the same thing till it reaches the top of this organization, because they are not listening. I'm going to reverse that right back to you to say I'm doing the same thing, just in a different way. I'm doing it in more of a positive, optimistic, glass half full approach. And you're doing it from a more in your face, enough's enough, glass half empty approach. But there's nothing wrong with either or. We're all designed and built to think and feel differently. That's just how human nature is. But we're both on that same mission, right? And I've not once ever said that Dave Ziegler's the real deal. I've never once said that Josh McDaniels is the real deal. And never once have I said Aidan O'Connell is the future and a bright spot in the future, and he's going to be the guy that takes us to the promised land. Never said that. My point being, on all three of those notes, or even with number one, Mark Davis is the owner of this franchise. You can't make anybody sell anything. It is what it is. No matter how we feel about Mark Davis, that's a Mark Davis choice, unless they find a way to catch him in some kind of crazy conspiracy and they have to push him out too. Okay. Dave Ziegler, 2 years in, along with Josh McDaniels, are kind of tied to the hip. The 3-year rule is what we're hearing. Can something happen to where he's just fed up and does something about it? Yeah. I think he's being coached and told to be patient and not to do such a thing. We'll wait and see. So when I look at that narrative, just that alone, I got to just write it out. I got to write it out and hope that they either get it right, because eventually they're going to be gone. And then, so we may have a whole nother year of mediocrity, I guess, right? As far as Aidan O'Connell, I push for the kid, because when I look at the quarterbacks on this roster, I feel like this year he gives us the best chance. He gives us the best chance. And if we got to deal another year with the same regime, they drafted him for a reason. So let's see if they got something right. So I don't want to knock AOC, and I don't want to knock anything they do until we see for ourselves. Anyway, that's my stand on that. John Leon, I hear we're gonna make a move before the trade deadline. And we are currently shopping Renfrow. Fact. And that's what we talked about, and that's what this conversation started, this conversation in the narratives, and it looks like they're going to try to package him up. So we'll see how they do that. It'll save us capital, and I'm all for it, but I'm not willing to give up too much for a player at this point. I'd rather ride it out unless you're going to package him up and get some type of defensive line help, my opinion. Mike Noonan, we are a sick lot who keeps hoping. Okay. Fan from the 60s. Someday we will return. Let's get a W. I'm with you, man. I'm with you, Noonan. I'm with you. In Chicago, it gets get a win in Chicago. Devante is seriously banged up. He truly is. He's really hurt, and that pass didn't help him much, right? Prayers for healing. Let's loosen up and play some ball. Fact. I just want to see it continue to grow and see something change now, something hopeful, something to look forward to. John Leon, put AOC in for the rest of the season, and if he balls out, which I'm not expecting that from him necessarily, we will still need to draft a quarterback in the first or second round. Facts. I mean, I'd like to say that they play AOC the rest of the way, but again, I think Josh McDaniels, and I know there's a lot of main media people that get mad that we talk this way, but it's true. I think he's got an ego, and I think his pride's not loud. He doesn't want to be wrong. He brought the guy in. He sold the idea that it was Jimmy G. He paid him as such, 2 years, by the way. And I think he's trying to save face. I don't think he's thinking of the big picture, because at this point, he needs to find any other type of way to save his job, in my opinion. There's a report out there that Mark might move on from Josh. I don't know how true that is. First time in Devante's career, he's leading the team in whining. Laugh out loud. Gee, Warren, Josh McDaniels has no idea how to balance an offense. He doesn't have quarterbacks that can read the field like an elite quarterback that you see around the league, using all their weapons with ease. Again, dude, you're always on point on the Raiders, and the Raiders can't. Again, dude, like I totally agree with you, right? I don't think that I will say this, and I've always said this about McDaniels. History will show whether or not, it's a quarterback. There's nothing he could do about that, right? Except for go and do what you've been preaching, right? And go out and get a Caleb Williams and a Drake May and hope that they're the right guys too, right? But at the end of the day, he's got to deal with what he has now. And to me, it's not so much that he doesn't know how to run a balanced offense, because I believe he can. I just think at this point, it's come down to the fact that he can't manage a game and an offense at the same time. He's like chewing gum and walking. He just can't do it. Salute night. Salute to Tanaka. Sam Tanaka, what's up, bro? Adams looked oops. It did it to me again because it likes to. Adams looked pretty pissed that Jimmy set him up for another big hit. And it's been happening a lot. That could have been serious. I don't think he cares about stats. His health matters probably more, right? And I do agree. G. Warub, I know the season isn't over, but if it were to be, would you be satisfied with the Raiders' progress if the season was over? No. Because we've done it against teams, G. Warb, that we should be doing this too, for where we're at and where they're at, right? A beat up Patriots team, up and coming new they're kind of resetting the stuff over there in Green Bay. That was to be expected. We're going up against the Chicago Bears, who might be out there starting quarterback. They may be starting a rookie quarterback that was undrafted. I mean, and if it's not him, it's Peterman, which we already know that he's never been a starter in this league. So again, like you said, once we start hitting the top tier talent, the Chiefs twice, and we've got to play the Jets, even though that's a great defense, right? I'm not worried about their offense right now, but they still have weapons, and we seem to have big plays against us here and there. Again, dude, am I happy? No. Have they been fully tested in a long period of time? No. Is it going to look good? I don't think so at this point. So I agree with you there. No, I wouldn't be happy. I went into the season knowing that it wasn't going to be that too. I didn't have the expectations for them to be a playoff contender or a Super Bowl contender. I didn't. Ray Gonzalez, Mark Davis deserves credit. He is trying to put a winning team out there. 6 games into the season, and half of the nation is acting like divas. Again, we have We just have to keep believing, right? We just have to keep believing, right? It's not a matter of what does it matter now in the midst of a middle of a season where nothing's on the line yet. Nothing. Raider Ben, what's up, Jason? What's up, Ben? What's up, bro? Hopefully you're having a great night. Raiders 3-game win streak upcoming. Woo! You know what? I'm having a good night. I'm having a hard time making my point, but you know, I know I'm really optimistic, and I'm trying to lower my own expectations just to have a real conversation, and I'm struggling with it because there's a lot of great points on both sides. I'm just going to play the middle of the road. That's what I've always done. G Warb, you can't just ignore the fact that the NFL, hold on, it jumped on me again, that the NFL isn't too impressed with Mark Davis being hearing they want to buy Mark out and get a big wig to take over, and could be the reason why the Raiders are punished. That is a narrative that's been around even when his father was here. It's not, they could push their narrative all they want, and you could be onto something that's really conspiracy type stuff. And I don't say that to say that you're wrong by any means. I'm just saying that from my perspective, like that, this is something we've been dealing with forever, and we found ways around it before. Mark's got to find a ways around it again if that's the case. It's been well noted that they would love to have more billionaires in the league because this has become, and this is where I'll throw my own conspiracy hat into the ring, okay? The NFL is set up a lot like the mafia. There's a lot of billionaires that shuffle money around. Some take it more serious than others. Some understand the benefits of winning. But honestly, bro, if they really wanted to hurt Mark Davis more, they wouldn't give him the Super Bowl in the city to make the money. They would not give him the Pro Bowl. They would not have given him the draft. They know that he has something good. And eventually they're hoping that because his mom's still alive, he technically doesn't even own the team. Mark is not the sole owner of this team. He's running it for his mother. And he has to have the money to pay the taxes when she does pass. So that's when we'll get more of an understanding of where we're at. I'm burnt. I guarantee I'm a lot over time. But I love talking with you guys. Even, G Warub, I'm going to give you the first shout out, dude, because you do challenge my way of thinking. Your narrative is not wrong, bro. I see where you're coming from. I understand why you feel the way you feel. I understand the way that you see this team. There's really no arguing it. Now, we can go round and round about the conspiracy stuff, right? But as far as drafting, quarterbacks, where this team's at, what we've seen, what's been proven, you're dead on, dude. And I'm just going to do my best to give my perspective and what I hope to see the team do and what I think the team is trying to do, and support them any way I can, because at the end of the day, it's Raiders till I die. I'll never give up my fanhood. And as a fan, I'll always believe that there's a future. D the Sum, great convo. Thank you, D Sum. And thanks to G Warb once again for that, man. Ray Gonzalez, thank you for being here. Appreciate you, brother. Fire, bro. You already know, brother. Appreciate you being here. Raider Ben, thank you for showing up again tonight, bro. You're a true pioneer. You've made your mark here on YouTube, and I appreciate you being here. Sam Takanaka, thank you so much for being here, brother. Greg Atkinson, you already know, brother. Thank you for keeping the conversation live. John Leon, thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate you. Mike Noonan, I really appreciate your input, bro. Thank you for keeping the conversation happening tonight. Let's see. There's going to be a lot of G Warb up in my chat. That Raiders fan. Bro, you already know. Raiders till we die. The Raiders fan. All right. Fire, bro. I already give you my love. P-Dog. Mr. One-Liner himself. I appreciate you, dude. Love your comments. Let's see. Raider Twan. Thank you for showing up tonight, Raider Twan. You're a G. I appreciate you. Jilly Pepper 28. You already know, bro. I appreciate you. Thank you. Burkay Raider. Awesome comments. Great points. Thank you for being here tonight. Let's see. Moving up. Lafayette, my boy. Thank you so much for being here, Lafayette. I appreciate you. Big Lou Dog. Lou Dog was in the house tonight. My blind student from McLean High School. Appreciate you, dude. Keep rocking. Kenny Clausell, my partner in crime over at Independently Blind. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for being here. Junior Ramos, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here, brother. And let's see, what else do we got here? I don't want to miss anybody. Razor Raider, I appreciate you, bro. There's Kenny. I'm getting closer and closer to the top. I don't want to leave. D Nightwalker, thank you for being here. Raider Combo was able to make it, as he said, on time tonight. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being here. I'll keep it going one more time. Diego was in the house. I appreciate you, Diego. Fire Bro, D Nightwalker, all you. I appreciate all you. I'm going to go back. I'll get to the last comments. G Warb, good night, Night. Good night, G Warb. I appreciate you, dog. Let's continue that conversation. Keep coming back, dude. I love the challenge. I appreciate you. Thank you for reading. Thank you for reading the comments. Makes your show better than most. Appreciate that, bro. I try. I mean, hopefully one day that might get harder and harder, especially with my vision. But as long as I can do it, I'm gonna keep cranking it out. Raider Nation forever, D the Sum. You got it. Guys, I appreciate you. Thank you all for being here. I will see you guys tomorrow night. I don't know what time I'm going live tomorrow night, but I will be here. So just keep an eye on it. Hit that subscribe button, the like button on the way out. Until next time, stay Raider strong. Night out.